What's up, guys? Jordan and Ashton here from Show Me Vegas.
And we're actually just wrapping up our most recent trip out here, and we wanted to give an update video for you guys on what to expect in summer of 2022 in Las Vegas. Update number 1, be sure to take TSA's advice to get to the airport at least 2 hours ahead of time, because as you guys know, flights and airports are a little bit crazy right now. Now, I know TSA has been telling us this for years, but now so many of us, including ourselves, have always ignored that advice and left ourselves far less time to get on the plane. Well, this summer, that could turn out really poorly for you.
So if you've been watching the news at all this summer, you know that air travel is an absolute mess. And the last thing you want to do is miss your Vegas vacation or your flight home. On our way out to Vegas this time, it took us nearly an hour to check our bag and make it through TSA, and that was at a smaller airport without anything going wrong. Coming home, we can't tell you how many times we've seen couples about to fight each other at the airport because their plane was boarding and they were at the back of the TSA line. Fortunately, everything ran smoothly on both of our flights this time around, but again, better safe than sorry. Just take TSA's advice and head to the airport early.
Spoiler alert, everybody, Vegas is crazy packed right now. We thought it was when we went back in March, but it is far more busy when we were there in June. The Strip and downtown resorts are back to being essentially sold out every weekend, and midweek occupancy is also soaring once again, thanks to the return of convention traffic. What this means for you is that you're not going to be able to just walk up to a popular restaurant and expect to get a table right away. So my advice, make your reservations ahead of time, especially if you have a certain place you want to go.
As always, we planned out our dinners and made reservations for all of them, but this time around we decided to wing it for breakfast, and we had a hard time finding a place that could take us. We wound up having in-room dining one morning instead, but even that's not always an option, as more and more resorts are doing away with traditional room service in favor of more DoorDash and Uber Eats type deliveries. Long story short, if you don't have a reservation, you might just find yourself at the food court. Now here's the downside to Vegas being so busy. While it's nice for it to feel like Vegas again, demand is so high right now that rates all across the board are also super high. It's really just simple supply and demand. Room rates, resort fees, and food prices are just about as high as they've ever been, so if you're banking on traveling to Vegas on a strict budget, you might be better off waiting until the off season, like between Thanksgiving and Christmas. Okay, now let's talk a little bit about transportation.
Alright, first is the good news. Rides are pretty easy to find. We took a cab from the airport to the Wynn and didn't have to wait at all on Friday afternoon. We used Uber for the rest of our rides, and we never waited for more than 2 minutes to be picked up. All of our transportation was quick and super easy.
Okay, now the bad part. Our rides seem to be more expensive than usual this time around. Now, you probably know cab pricing from the airport to the Strip is fixed based on certain zones, but it sure isn't cheap. The flat fee from the airport to the Wynn was $30, and we added a nice tip on top of that because that cab driver was probably the nicest guy we met all weekend. Now, Uber and Lyft are still cheaper than cabs, but even they were noticeably higher this time around. We took a couple of Uber rides that were just 4 or 5 blocks, and they cost about $12 each plus tip. Of course, gas prices are mostly to blame here, but we did want to let you know that it was definitely noticeable to us this time around. Rides were just more expensive than usual.
Okay, so something that we always do every trip is try to see a show. Well, this trip was no different. In fact, we actually saw 2. The first was Raiding the Rock Vault, which we have seen 4 times before. The other show that we saw was the new show at New York called Mad Apple. That one we would highly recommend, along with most of the Cirque shows in Vegas.
Now, most of the big name residencies are on break in July and August, but they resume in September. Even still, there's a lot of entertainment to be found in Vegas. Adult review style shows, comedy, magic, and more can be found all up and down the Strip, and it seems like they're well attended. That showing of Mad Apple that we attended was completely sold out, so it's safe to say that entertainment is fully back in Las Vegas.
If you've been to Las Vegas throughout the pandemic, you probably noticed one of the biggest changes has been the lack of service. Short staffing, long waits, and closed venues became pretty much the norm, and they've lasted far longer than any of us expected. But this time around, we noticed a significant improvement in that area in particular. To be fair, we stayed at the Wynn, where it seems like you always find pretty good service. But even elsewhere, we noticed fewer lines, shorter wait times, and generally good service wherever we went.
Just keep in mind, Vegas always has been and always will be a tip-driven destination. Servers, bellmen, drivers, and housekeepers, just to name a few, work extremely hard and are deserving of your appreciation. Housekeepers are usually the most overlooked. If you don't tip your housekeeper, please consider it. Just a few bucks a day to the most underrated and overworked workers in Vegas is greatly appreciated. You can do it just by leaving the money in your room with a note. If you're low on cash or don't have the right change, you can always leave them a few casino chips or even a cash out voucher like this, so long as you leave something along with it to let them know it's for them.
All right, final thoughts. It's pretty safe to say that Vegas is back to normal now. It's never going to be exactly like it was, but the world is never going to be exactly like it was before the pandemic. There were a lot of people saying Vegas would never be normal again. Well, they were wrong. It's already back to the Las Vegas we all know and love. Anyway, that's it for this one, guys. Thanks for watching. If you're new to the channel, please do hit that like button. Also, subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications so you don't miss anything in the future. Special thanks to our patrons. You can find us on Patreon at patreon.com/showmevegas. If you'd like to support the channel, that's the best way to do it. Special shout out to Kimberly, our latest patron. Your support means a lot to us. Thank you so much. Hey, anyway, that's it for this one, guys. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.